Hi, my name is Allie McLean and I'm a student physical therapist and certified exercise physiologist. And before PT school, I pretty much spent my whole life dancing, but not without injury. In fact, injuries in dance are so common. Our current statistics show that about once a year, dancers are going to be injured. Every single dancer, they're going to have about an injury a year. So they're really common. And what we know about injuries in young dancers is that below the age of 12, the most common injuries are in the feet, ankles, and knees. And then above the age of 12, they still are getting foot, ankle, and knee issues, but things start to travel up the chain. And now we're getting injuries in the hips, the pelvis, and the spine. So that is why I've put together this really basic program that any dancer can start as a means of injury prevention. When I was a young dancer, I did not do any type of cross-training, conditioning, no strengthening, no cardio, nothing. All I did was stretch and expected stretching to make my dancing better. And I suspect that this is the case for lots of dancers still to this day. Lots and lots of research is pouring in showing us the benefits of cross-training and strengthening and building up our muscles. But I wasn't doing that when I was younger. And so I've created a program for where I was as a young dancer. Somebody who didn't do any cross-training, who didn't do any strengthening. So if that's you and you don't even know where to begin, you've come to the right place. So some terminology that I used is cross-training and conditioning. Both are essential to maintaining good health and good balance throughout your body, but let me explain the difference between them. So conditioning is what you do to get better specifically at certain movements in dance. So conditioning will kind of feel like you're working the same muscles that you might feel working as you're dancing. It might even look like dance as well. Cross-training, however, is just kind of general movement that's good for your whole entire body. It's good to maintain balance throughout muscle groups. It's good to build up your stamina. So the kind of difference between them. Conditioning might look a little bit more like dancing. You might feel those same muscles working. Cross-training, a great opportunity to work different muscles, to do something outside of the typical dancing that you do. So both cross-training and conditioning are important parts of preventing injuries. I'm going to spend the first video in this series diving a little bit more into cross-training. One area that dancers tend to lack in is aerobic training. And I actually used to think that the ballet classes that I were taking counted as aerobic activity because I was huffing and puffing afterwards, but aerobic training is really more specific. Aerobics is kind of defined as those motions that are repetitive over and over, kind of continuous motion for an extended duration of time. And think about a ballet class. It's constant stop and go. And if you were taking class for my ballet teachers, I mean, they would stop the combination before you're even halfway through with it to start giving corrections. So that kind of stop and go is not aerobic. Hence why we should do aerobic training outside of the studio. The benefits of aerobic training for a dancer are just increased endurance, and what that means is that you'll be able to rehearse for longer without getting as tired, and you'll actually even be able to recover a bit better after rehearsals because aerobics really helps with the heart and the lungs, just kind of improving how efficient those organs are functioning for you. So a couple pieces of advice I have about starting an aerobic training program. Number one, find something that you like. So I really did not enjoy aerobics at all when I was younger. And I would say to this day, it's more something that I tolerate, not necessarily something that I love. So if you don't love running, don't force yourself to go out and run. There's lots of other types of activity that can be aerobic. So you could swim laps in a swimming pool if you have access to that. You could ride a bike if you have access to a bike. You could go on a brisk walk. You could jump rope. There are so many different activities that are going to count as aerobic because what you're really looking for is that kind of winded, how winded are you getting with your breathing? So don't feel like you have to stick to something that you don't enjoy. Try different things. My other piece of advice is to start small. I know you guys are young dancers, so you're so busy. Don't feel like you need to do 60 minutes of something right off the bat, because what we know about people who try new types of exercise is people who do too much too soon end up being so fatigued and so tired for days. It takes days for them to recover that they're like, I don't want to do that again. So don't be that person. I mean, seriously, start with 5 minutes. 5 minutes of a jog. 5 minutes of riding your bike. Something very small so that you can build up over time, because your goal is going to be to do some type of aerobic activity about 3 to 5 times a week eventually. But I truly mean start with 5 minutes at a time. So speaking to, whether or not you're doing too much too soon, again, that breathing intensity is going to be a key factor to know if you're on the right track. So what we're looking for with aerobic activity is moderate to vigorous intensity. So we use something called the talk test, which is just a really easy way to know if you're exercising at that just right intensity. So if you are able to have a conversation with someone next to you easily, with no interruptions at all, then that intensity is probably more light, and we want to bump it up. So at moderate intensity, you're able to have a short conversation with somebody next to you. Emphasis on short, because you're not being able to have these long-winded conversations. You're getting your sentence out, and then you might have to take a big breath, and your sentence might be a little bit interrupted. That's kind of the moderate place. It's comfortable pushing into that slightly uncomfortable, it's effortful breathing. As far as vigorous intensity, you can say about 1 sentence before you need to take a big breath. It is getting more uncomfortable to have that conversation, but you're still able to. If you are running alongside someone and your breathing is so labored that you can't utter any words, too much. You've gone too far. That's not a sustainable place to train. So if you're up there, back it down. You want to be able to have short conversations with someone next to you. So my challenge to you is sometime this week, find 5 to 10 minutes where you can try out an aerobic activity, whether it's a brisk walk or a jog or jump roping or riding a bike. Just about 5 to 10 minutes, knowing that next week you'll be able to push up into that 15 to 20 minutes, and eventually you'll be able to do a 30-minute bout of aerobic activity. So you have to start somewhere. Don't be afraid to start small. So now I'm going to show you guys a super simple jump roping routine. If you're not interested in running or jogging or biking or swimming or cross-country skiing, hiking, jump roping is a great aerobic activity that requires a pretty small and inexpensive piece of equipment. So I thought it would be a good place to start if you're someone who has never done any type of cardio before. This is a pretty easy way to get started. So this clip is just a warm-up. As you can see, I am using my jump rope and sort of jogging along this little path I have here. You could do this in a driveway, a yard, whatever space you have. You don't need a ton of space. This is really just to get the blood flowing, so you could do this for about 30 seconds to a minute, just to get that blood pumping through your body. Next, I'm going to show you all some different jumps you can start trying. So here I am just doing a very basic jump on 2 feet. The thing I want to point out is that unlike dance, I am not trying to go for height. I am not pointing my toes. I am really just getting my body moving. So no need to jump as high as you can. In fact, little jumps are better in jump roping, and moving your arms as little as possible. It's really focusing on what's going on in the legs, just keeping those guys moving. Here I'm doing a little bit of a different jump with my feet kind of alternating Charlie Brown style. As you can see, I'm switching. My feet are not turned out, they're not pointed. This is just about staying active for a few minutes at a time. So try different motions. Working with a jump rope can be pretty tricky if you're not used to it, so feel free to ditch it altogether and opt for 30 seconds of jumping jacks. Doing other exercises during a jump rope workout is totally fine. Here I'm adding in 30 seconds of high knees. Again, working with that jump rope is not a requirement, so just keep that blood flowing for about 30 seconds at a time before you switch to your next exercise. Alright, that is it for this video. Now get out there and try some cardio. Remember to start small, and just know that cardio adds up. So if you're looking to do a 30-minute workout but you don't have a 30-minute window of time in your day, 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at lunch, and 10 minutes in the evening will add up to 30 minutes of cardio for you. So get it in when you can, try new things, and stay tuned for the next video to learn about how to strengthen your core and strengthen your legs.